Fellas, the TCS missions have returned after a 2-year hiatus. Are they just as good as what they were 2 years ago? Well, before answering that question, how do you do one of these missions? Well, whenever you land, you have 3 silos that you have to activate and protect from waves of enemies. The silos do not necessarily have health, but they do have an instability bar that builds over time the more damage it takes. It will start showing different states of the silos, such as stable, unstable, and critically unstable. Once the silo has taken enough damage, the silo progress will reset, and you will have to defend the silo all the way from the beginning again and hold off more hordes from damaging the silo enough to reach that 100% and then move on to the next silo. You have to do this 3 times, activate the main terminal, buy the extract, and then finish the mission, and then simply just extract. Now, with that explanation out of the way, is the TCS mission good? Well, not really. The TCS missions had far more enemies than what they have now, and the new ones, or reintroduced ones, have been neutered beyond belief, and now is simply a cakewalk on level 10 difficulty. Before, the enemy spawns were very good, but now the mission is a hollow shell of itself. To hit the point home, here are some end results from our TCS missions that I played with certain enemy spawn seeds. As you can see, no matter what the spawn seeds was, you will get very low kill count games because there simply isn't enough enemies spawning, even at level 10 difficulty, especially on the Bile Spewer seed, where all of us would get sub 100 kills apiece. I think that with the introduction of these missions, I think that I can speak for everyone who wants a challenge in Helldivers 2 that spawns on not just this mission, but all missions need to be drastically increased. The reintroduced TCS missions just expose the harsh reality boldly, as, like I said before, just play a level 10 TCS mission and you will be crying on how boring and easy this mission is. If you were thinking that this mission would bring you back to live the good old days to play TCS, I would advise you, do not waste your time. This mission is not fun to play in its current state, and you will experience absolute boredom for this mission. I just do not know why Arrowhead even bothered releasing these missions if they are going to be this watered down and just downright boring with their spawn rates to make even the grown Helldiver cry. I still think that Helldivers 2 is at its best when it comes to difficulty with higher spawn rates and engaging with and knowledge checking the player with the breakpoint system. This has always been the difficulty setting on Helldivers 2. I made a video about this a few weeks ago, so try to give that a watch for my full thought breakdown. But I do believe Arrowhead has been listening to the small minority of people that are giving the absolute wrong advice on what makes Helldivers 2 difficult. And as a result, they nerf spawn rates and buff enemy durable damage, thinking that this fixes the issue. The problem is that this makes the game easier now, because Helldivers 2 is a horde shooter. The difficulty for this style of game is the amount of enemies that spawn, rather than the tankiness of the enemies and the ineffectiveness of weapons over time due to changes to said enemies. Arrowhead simply needs to go back to its roots when it comes down to difficulty scaling, which has always been the higher the difficulty, the more enemies that spawn, and the more difficult the game becomes. And if you are the player having a hard time, take the time to explore the difficulty slider to pick which difficulty is right for you, rather than nerfing the hell out of the highest difficulty because it feels good to complete a mission at those higher difficulties. As for Arrowhead, and when it seems to be constantly failing at first impressions, let me quote one of the most legendary game developers that was the senior developer for Halo Combat Evolved and the lead for Halo 2 and Halo 3. Jamie Griesmer gives insight how important it is for first impressions when it comes to a game that you're developing. He says, quote, "You only get one chance to make a first impression on the player." If Arrowhead would take this quote to heart, I do believe that priorities would change and we would one day get that team for quality assurance. Because if they did, and anyone playing who would be on the QA team would have seen how unbelievably underwhelming these spawn rates are, would have seen this as leaving a bad impression on players who never played this mission before, or even returning players to even want to come back and play. I make Helldivers 2 content. I like making Helldivers 2 content. However, it is very hard for me as a content creator to convince my audience to turn on the game if the game is in the state that it is in now, especially when it was content that I found to be fun 2 years ago. But you guys let me know what you think down in the comment section below about the TCS missions and what you think is the answer for difficulty in Helldivers 2. As always, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.